deception complex came in 2015 and 2016 when Donald Trump appeared. And West had a very strong gut reaction to Trump that was very positive, and the people around him were panicked by this. The last thing you could have is one of the most popular pop culture figures in America coming out for Donald Trump. So they applied intense pressure to get him back on the script. And apparently his wife was part of that, his former wife, Kim Kardashian, who West now learns had a very close relationship with the Clintons and people around the Clintons. He had no idea. His relationship with Trump, on the other hand, flourished, and he got a window into the people around Trump. And in this clip, you'll hear him assess what happened inside the White House. Very interesting. Watch.
It was interesting. A friend of mine told me that Chris and Kim had called him because he had influence inside of the black community, and had called him to say, to get him to influence people to take the vaccination. And I have an opinion on that. I just want to state that as a flat statement. But it was wild that I didn't know how close my own wife was to the Clintons. I didn't know, I didn't realize it at the time.
That you were married to her.
And I was married to her.
How close was she to the Clintons?
I mean, cell phone away, or hey, tell Ye to say this away, or hey, go out and use your platform to push the vaccination away. I mean, not away, but take the away part. But
do you feel like at times you were manipulated by political forces through your wife?
Attempt manipulation. But yes, there was some manipulation. Me not saying I like Trump was a form of a manipulation.
For sure.
Introducing Discover Online Privacy Protection.
Well, it is a controversial topic on a Toronto University campus this month. Some people on the campus saying pronouns like he, she, him, or her do not represent them accurately. Now, the university wants staff to use alternate pronouns, but Jordan Peterson is a psychology professor at the university, and he is refusing to do that. Take a look at this.
The reason I'm defending freedom of speech is because that's how people with different opinions settle their opinions in a civil society.
Peterson, do you have any comments on the Nazi presence at your protest? The presence of Nazis and white supremacists assaulting people at your protest. Do you have any comment on that?
Yeah, I don't like Nazis. I'm speaking out the way I'm speaking out because I think this is a route to no violence. And violence is lurking. And you can say that that sounds like a threat.
There was no violence at our protest, though.
I just asked, would you refer to me if it wasn't for this law? And I asked you to refer to me with they them pronouns, would you? And your answer was no.
Not if I was compelled to.
So just an example of how things have become heated at the University of Toronto. That scene showing different groups of students, some confronting the professor about his position, others
What's in a name? Potentially a great deal. University of Toronto psychology professor Jordan Peterson has a fight on his hands after objecting to proposed legislation that he says would violate his freedom of speech by forcing him to address transgender people using the pronouns of their choosing. Joining us now to better understand the issue and debate what's at stake, in Vancouver, British Columbia, Saren Meyer, transgender pundit and YouTuber. In the nation's capital, Kyle Kirkup, professor of law at the University of Ottawa. And here in studio, the aforementioned Jordan Peterson, professor of psychology, University of Toronto, Nicholas Matt, lecturer, transgender studies at U of T, and Mary Rogan, whose article entitled Growing Up Trans is featured in the October issue of the Walrus magazine. Good to have you three here and our two friends in Points Beyond. We appreciate everybody being on the program for what is, I think, one of the hottest topics in the country today, Professor Peterson, and it's all because of you. And I think before we go any further with our conversation here, I want to give people a sense of how hot this has got, starting on the downtown campus of the University of Toronto. Sheldon, if you would, roll it.
Well, as you can see, the opponents of free speech are capable of making a lot of inarticulate noise. Free speech is the mechanism by which we keep our society functioning.
And by doing this, you're improving. Not cool.
I'm going to post this online that you would like people to be more accommodating of trans people and people of color at your events in future.
I'm a person of color.
I'm a person of color, and I felt very accommodating. There have been multiple recorded instances of trans people killing themselves because they are not being integrated into society.
If it wasn't for this law, then I ask you to refer me with they, them pronouns, would you?
Why do you have the authority to determine whether or not an individual is worthy of you using their pronouns? Like if I asked you, would you?
Michaels wants to criminalize abortion. He wants a state-mandated ban on abortion with no exceptions for rape, incest, or the health of the mother.
Reverend Eagle condemning all men who going to school and just want to, be whoever the society say they should be. Reverend Eagle condemns bad exposure to a variety of subject matters where you can create problematic solutions. No matter what your sexual orientation is, maybe you could speak out, be part of some campaign, and therein be able to create a program where you can produce life to the kingdom and things like that. That's what Reverend Eagle condemns man do his show for.
Get ball in the nighttime, gotta get mine. Ain't taking no shots on the lounge and top of the phone. Call up my homie, tape at home, polishing this Mac 10 crown. Gotta lick weekend, it's so cold, it flick this once again, it's time.
Well, Mary, oh Mary, don't you tell him Martha not tomorrow.
Why they kill my dog? Yeah, man, I miss my Uncle Charles, y'all. He ain't so easy, so easy to fall. I've been sitting and getting it, and know that it is what it is. But I come again and again. What you gonna do? Can somebody, anybody tell me why? Can somebody, anybody tell me why? We die, I don't wanna die. See you at the crossroads, you know me.
When I wake up in the morning, I feel good. And by the end of the evening, I'm in pain, bad pain. My neck, my back, my legs.
30 hit me like a ton of bricks. I felt like I must be 60. I had chronic pain, brain fog, migraines, broken wrists. It was just getting worse and worse. The volume was just getting turned up on this progression of the disease.
I knew all my whole life that I had a low alkaline phosphatase.
Reverend Eagle condemns man in the middle of his show. And see, when you trying to record on a tight budget, these things happen. And I'm doing it for free. The Lord my God is my God. And I try to educate all humans. It's just so many humans that is caught up in a heresy of generational curses that they don't educate themselves. So Reverend Eagle condemns man, say he kind of educated. You know. The people just won't let him shine, and you know, Spectrum probably want to holler at him. You know, he behind on the bill, but the government paying for it. Yeah, so Reverend Eagle think he deserves some good service from the people. I mean, they getting their kickback. I mean, how much you need in your life? You said from a human that ain't got nothing. You instead biting at his last little piece of toenail. So Reverend Eagle say, if you believe like he believed, God gonna always guide your way, rookie. And if you don't, then you gonna get lost. You know, sick lexicon.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Kanye West, now known as Ye, is one of the best-selling musical artists. Ill, too crazy to take seriously. Look away, ignore him. He's a mental patient. There's nothing to see here. But is West crazy? You can judge for yourself.
It drove me crazy to not be able to say that I like Trump. It drove, because think about it, it's me. Imagine me not being able to say what I wanted. What was the point of being famous? What was the point of having, millions of people love your music? What was the point of having a voice if you can't even use your own voice and connect it to your own opinions?
Yes.
That's where the disconnect happened. That's where the, quote, I think wrongly diagnosed, that's where the bipolarity is. Because you got...
Reverend Eagle condemns man saying Kanye West and putting all legal protection on it, but Darrell Brooks did an excellent job of edifying the law.
But you're told you're not allowed to say it
in the United States of America. Now, Reverend Eagle got to confess that Darrell Brooks did a marvelous job as a pro se litigant, and he has preserved, through Reverend Eagle condemns man, understanding of the constitutional force of life, laws of nature, laws of man, and the laws of God. A very good legal question, if you will, on due process his mental ability, his mental capacity. He was representing himself as a business, and the legal question is, how can you come in the courtroom and represent yourself as a business when you claim a sovereignty? But hold on, that's something we really need to address. You're not a business. You're a human. God, stop. So Reverend Eagle say, now that was marvelous work that he did, and it's something like Kanye West do. It's something like Reverend Eagle Condensed Man do whenever African American male happen to think outside the mold of the realities that the Ku Klux Klan or the other overt, covert racist behavior, thinking people that's caught up in a wicked pattern of think that the African Americans should always submit to the will and always give in to them, and they can never lead them nowhere in prosperity of faith and direction for the Lord our God. They just gonna always be rookies in the servitude of God. But we got a vessel down named Reverend Eagle Condensed Man saying he the best Christian to ever be a Christian. And he loved Kanye. He loved Trump. He loved Ron Johnson. He loved Craig Keller. He loved Adam Fish. He loved any man that say he a Christian. And any Democrat that say they're a Christian as well. I mean, humans but did Daryl Brooks now present a good legal challenge to the challenges that's illustrated by heresy of laws and legal theories and case law precedent from the earliest days of the first court case that was ever wrote on the books, where we could trace it back as we trace the Bible back when events happened. And some people just don't want to believe it, but some people really do. And then when they keep edifying God's word, he speaks to them in such a way that it really advised us to say something, but then those in the middle get confused, and those that really don't understand how a person get changed for free and be transparent. It's a sick lexicon, but let's hear Daryl Brooks for a minute, putting all legal protection on the situation. Now, Reverend Eagle Condensed Man putting all legal protection on the situation where he could ever be sued, where he not sympathizing and have emotional and intellectual capacity to understand that the relationships that was destroyed and the spiritual kisses now that's going to keep kissing from the spirit realm and not the flesh, and any other way that it could be unprecedentedly, not microscopically construed, that Reverend Eagle Condensed Man is speaking out and need to be sued for not having the love and caring understanding that a human should have to exercise his First Amendment right and speak out it in an intelligent way. So Reverend Eagle Condensed Man praying for all legalities of the situation to be nullified, knowing that Reverend Eagle Condensed Man trying to spiritually kiss you and educate you now, and just show you how a human can be microscopically misconstrued as retarded and these type of things, because they think so far out the box. But these humans do come from a lineage of prosperity. So let's check it out.
In the Waukesha Parade crash trial, 6 people were killed and dozens more injured when prosecutors say Brooks rammed his SUV into the annual holiday parade last November. Officials say Brooks continued to drive even after he hit multiple people and others banged on the hood of the vehicle for him to stop. He now faces 76 charges in connection to the crash. Before the trial began, Brooks elected to represent himself, declaring he's a sovereign citizen. After a 50-minute uninterrupted rant by Brooks on Thursday, Judge Giroux put her foot down on Friday, saying his arguments were irrelevant. Brooks continued to yell over the judge, at times in the presence of the jury.
Stop interrupting me. The jury's coming out. We're continuing with this trial despite your repeated efforts.
Reverend Eagle Condensed Man said he always changed the game, and he ain't no longer selling dope. What he doing is educating all humans who able to accept the free gift of salvation.
Testimony in the trial of Daryl Brooks. This time, police officers took the stand against Brooks.
Bruce Harrison has more from Waukesha on what happened in the courtroom today.
Video evidence, Waukesha police officer Bryce Scholten firing at the red SUV as it exits the parade route.
It was so close I felt like I couldn't touch the side of the vehicle.
vehicle.
Schulten then identifying Brooks.
Yes, the driver is seated at the defense, wearing a blue tie and blue shirt underneath his suit jacket.
As the driver.
I did not know your name at the time I shot.
Reverend Eagle condemns, man, people not ever wanting to hurt the humans, just want to get some clarification in the court body in the United States of America where another human could never attempt to represent himself as a business. And if he in fact is, now he really is, or she really is, or the human really is, in fact now representing himself, mandated by United States constitutional law now from the body of the seventh head. Now that sits on the bench, and one body, many parts of Reverend Eagle say he might have some activity for the Supreme Court. He just need a few more pieces of coin and probably a woman over here to help him clean up from time to time and rub his feet and let him play in her hair. And it's been almost 18 months. He felt like, he deserves so. Anyway, moral of the story, what we saying is now humans are mentally and emotionally not able to take us to new levels of thinking if we study these creatures. So we got to study Darrell Brooks and study why he was so demonically possessed and why he was so intelligent, but then again, why he was so unintelligent. Was it convenient now for him to weaponize his gift to understand the limitations of the law, laws of nature, the laws of man, and the laws of God to connect now as only the Lord our God now can get intimately in our brain and know everything that we doing wrong and right. So Reverend Eagle saying, he educating us, but he's hurting us at the same time. And he's hurting us because the United States ain't set no precedent on cases like this. And they have, but people are still allowed to use it. So judges lack the legal authority to just say, hey, that right there is frivolous. This case right here bans that from ever being brought up as a subject matter. And I do have jurisdiction because in the land now that's set under God, our master's jurisdictional sky. Now he created laws to say now any human that did this, that, the third is subjected to this, that, or the third as mandated by the action inflicted upon society. So Reverend Eagle condemns, man.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions. All right, sir. Mr. Brooks, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, I do, and I object to being called that name for the record. Do you recall giving a statement to Officer Probst?
I don't know his name, but I've talked to an officer.
And you did talk to an officer that night?
I talked to an officer on the phone. I did not talk to an officer that night. I mean, on the phone I did, but not in person.
So it was a conversation on the non-emergency line. Would that be fair to say?
It was on the non-emergency line. I actually confirmed it after I called to make sure I was on the non-emergency line.
Do you recall the description that you gave at that time?
I do. Well, my best of my knowledge was that you were either black, Latino,
Who's you?
or mixed.
Who's you?
Well, you have to let him answer the question first before you interrupt him.
Reverend Eagle condemns, man, not giving a quick assessment. Darrell Brooks has brought up some great legal questions, and he say, "Who is you? I'm representing a third party entity. I am a business, and you got my name in all capitals, and my business shouldn't be in all capitals. So what I'm saying is, I'm sovereign, and who is you? Tell me, who is Darrell Brooks? So this is a question that Reverend Eagle saying, hold on, could this ever be weaponized again? Because mandates ain't been mandated by the United States Constitution, mandating that this issue is absolutely void. Like, don't ever bring this up. You know how many humans you hurt. We seen you in human form through a physical action that was demonic. And by your demonic activity, we bringing you under the sovereign jurisdiction of the Lord our God's now mandates through the constitutional forms of life, laws of nature, the laws of man, and the laws of God, because you didn't respect the Trinity, and you destroyed life. You took life through your actions. So let's and he also presents another good legal question, and that being, now, what officer did you speak to? Because now we got officers that do work for other officers, and then some officers don't follow up on their reports. They may misspell their name, and then guys try to get back off that or off a misspelled name. And Reverend Eagle could this man saying he think he got the city of Janesville because they didn't spell his name right. They spelled his son's name instead of his name. They charge his son, which is 12, and then they charge him with he's 44. So identification is key, but we see Darrell Brooks preserving great legal issues. Nevertheless, though, he also points out something else, which is critical. So we're going to slide back for 2 seconds to get a diagnosis on what he said.
Latino, who's you, or mix? Who's you?
Well, you have to let him answer the question first before you interrupt him with another one. Go ahead with the description.
First of all, let's see what he said about his identity.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions. All right, sir. Mr. Brooks, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, I do, and I object to being called that name for the record.
Nah. Mr. Brooks is representing his business, but he objects to being called the name. So he can't see. The thing is, we already know. Case law says that hold on, Reverend Eagle Cadez may give you assessment of his fact. We know it's a moot point. Now she already cited cases, but case law do know that a pro se party cannot, will not, and should not try to represent a business without a law degree. So why Robert Eagle could this man knowing the law and knowing that the United States and state Wisconsin and the federal courts already said that a pro se party cannot represent themselves without a valid law degree. So why this judge and why ain't no other judge, no other lawyer came and said, hold on, how could he, and why not the prosecutor? The prosecutor should have known that, hold on, he said he representing a business. How could he represent a business? He don't have a valid law degree. What accredited school did you go to, or did you go to God's University? And what's the case law for that? Now show us how smart you is. So then it's a thing where a judge make a determination whether or not you mentally fit not to go pro se. So he was mentally fit to go pro se, but he wasn't mentally fit to represent a third party entity. So that we got lost in the lexicon of having the criminal justice system. Just walk Darrell Brooks through it, a mental and emotional, intellectual, spiritual kiss that physically hurt a lot of people because the United States Constitution now ain't mandated that, hold on, this issue is void. You pro se, right? I'm letting you go pro se, and a pro se litigant can never in a United States court, in a federal court, in a state court, in any tribunal body now without the law degree supporting them, say that they represent a business. Now you can't.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions. All right, sir. Mr. Brooks, do you have any questions for this witness?
Yes, I do, and I object to being called that name for the record. Do you recall giving a statement to Officer Probst? I've talked to an officer.
Reverend Eagle condemns man on the serious side of things, and I respect and treat it as highest virtue. as a man that studied God's Constitution and observed many humans and tried to play as a jailhouse lawyer, seeing many humans argue this issue, and then they pro se. But if they represent a third party entity, the court just got to alter an opinion and say, hold on now, you can't represent a business because you move in pro se, and we gave you that, and you don't have a law degree. You must have a law degree to argue this issue. So without you having a law degree, you forfeit that right. And then now we don't even need to reserve or preserve or demonstrate or even try to articulate now any factor of opinion that can be microscopically construed to say that you in fact now didn't have an issue and everything you brought before the court was frivolous and without merit. So what Reverend Eagle saying is, why that ain't happened yet, and based on his defense now of him, not based on his defense of him being shut down in that magnitude, because that was his whole case, should he be allowed time to study for a new avenue of defense, or should he just go on and look up to the sky and ask the Lord our God now to give him the power to repent? Reverend Eagle condensed, man, I'm on the outside looking in. I'm just giving you my First Amendment now impression of what it means to respect the law, have the most humblest now submission to the cross, if you believe in God now and your love ain't never lost. I'm Reverend Eagle condensed, man.